Yeah, right, that's enough. That's enough. Hi, guys, it's Ben here from Second Dynasty, and above me is John.
Hi. Hi, John.
We could actually see John for once. He even said hello to himself again. So, yeah, although AlBen is not on stream, he technically was supposed to go home, but he didn't go home yet. So, I think he's trying to get a print ready to go and doesn't want to have it all on the stream making a lot of noise because we put the. We have moved our resin printer into the office and have this really jury-rigged. I to show it off because it's kind of crazy. Hang on, let me get. Let's see. Just before I do that, though, can everyone hear both me and John?
You can hear me. I checked by listening to my own self
Oh,
through the stream. It was very
very
annoying.
good. Yes. Let me grab this, and we can have a look at the awesome solution that we have here for ventilation. So, yes, that is cardboard in, I don't know.
Europe OSHA would be so proud.
There we go. So yeah, that's to keep out the bad airs, and then yeah, here you can see here's our table, and that AlBen actually is here. And in fact, Lisa-Lot is too. So we're all here.
Hey, Lisa-Lot.
So yeah, exciting times. Let me just readjust everything. And to... Okay, now I need to change this camera. It's the downside. Nah. There we go. Is that alright? That seems alright. Okay, so guys, sorry about that. Today, I thought we'd have John on to talk about the future of Deck Designer. For he is the one who programs it. And also John has been active and greatly important in converting Ian's SketchUp files, doing a lot of the boring stuff. But, you know, that's what cheap labor's for. Are you muted yourself again? Yes, you had.
Oh, thank you, Ben. I appreciate how I'm devalued. Don't forget, Second Dynasty is always hiring.
I might be hiring very soon if I'm not careful. So I'll shut up about that now. John, it's great. It's good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been. I'm glad to be able to attend just for this short bit. If my internet goes out at all, let me know. I'm currently on the free Wi-Fi of this condominium collection of condos.
The aluminium. All right. I guess I see the Blasted Camouflage is with us. One of many more. I'm guessing, and Casino thanks. I'm hoping that's not an ad name. In any case, we are. We have moved the time slot, so I'm not surprised that not as many people have turned up. We've been talking about doing this for a while, mostly because you know, we have been doing 3 o'clock on Fridays, but we tend to be a little lower on energy on Fridays, so we thought we'll try the Thursdays now that AlBen's here on Thursdays. And so yeah, this week we have been working on getting the rest of the assorted cargo done, but actually most of AlBen's time has gone into trying to figure out how to get our ship miniatures to print in SLA, sorry, in resin, which is a process we're not that used to. It's going. We have had some good results, but a lot of issues. We're trying to figure out if there's a more optimal way for us to work to create miniatures that are going to be relatively support free. Because we have determined that printing them solid is going to waste a lot of resin. And so I think we're trying to avoid that. And then, of course, on my part, I've been both working on... let's see, we worked on the Kickstarter a little bit. So there is actually a coming soon page. Let's see, I can share this one. Copy link address is what we want, and then I drop that into the chat if I actually get in the right channel. So there we go. So that's our next Kickstarter, which is going to have a relaunch of the Type S. We won't be unlocking any stretch goals. We'll be focusing on ship miniatures by the delightful Ian Stead. He has been hard at work over many, many years to bring the armadas of the Traveller universe to life, and we are going to bring those to your 3D printer. So, Jordan, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been involved with that project?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. One of the favorite things I've been doing lately is retopologizing. That is where you take an existing mesh and you turn it into one that's easier to edit. So Ian made them in SketchUp, which is a great piece of software, but it doesn't produce what we would call very clean meshes unless you know exactly what steps to take. It's not designed for that. So I was taking it along and going into Blender and readjusting some of the quads or 4-point polygons to make it to where Ben could then go back in and add details easily. I also adjusted to make the model's manifold or watertight, and I think we started getting faster and faster as we went along, didn't we, Ben?
I think so.
Mhm.
Or at least your it kind of has been a bit dependent on which ship we're looking at. This ship that I'm working on in the background, by the way, that's the Beta Centauri, the version of my Scout ship that I actually designed 5 years ago, um, maybe even six, which is getting a revamp for the Traveller universe. So we'll go over that in a little bit. But yeah, SketchUp conversions, it's not really polygonal modeling program. So we were hoping it was going to be a quick conversion. It wasn't. I really wanted to do a quick turnover with this campaign because we do have the last window for us is in November before everyone starts thinking about Christmas, and our designs aren't really Christmas presents. Although these new ones might be because you could actually get them printed in time for Christmas, no worries. So John hopped in, taking a break from his deck designer work to help ensure that we'll be able to get those to market. And we are going to launch those on the 27th. Let's see. I believe it's the 27th. I might have to look edit in basics. We are launching on, yes, the 27th of October. So about 3 weeks. Actually, it was 3 weeks yesterday. Oh shit, it was 3 weeks yesterday. So the panic has just settled in a little bit, but yeah, let's see. Ornament hanger add-on, says the blasted Samouflage. So you can have traveler ships on your tree. I mean,
That sounds like something.
technically you could probably just put a wider clip in there and just put a bit of string around one of the clips.
You could just take a drill after you took the done and went, and then there you go.
That's right. Less work for me. No, I mean we will have like the base ships out in time for Christmas for sure, but it is a conversion process. Each ship takes, I would say, 3-ish days to convert and bring up to sort of like the right level. Maybe even more if you're like counting all the different versions we've got to support, because we are looking at supporting resin this time around. Although all the pictures that I've shared so far have actually been of the FDM stuff, so there is that. Maybe I can actually.
I want to bring up
dig
the
that out.
FDM prints have looked amazing and have way more detail than I expected, especially on the Sleipnir. I was surprised to see the brick pattern even print on FDM.
Very nice, John. Yeah. Well, speaking of deck designer, oh shit, what? That graphic crashed. Let's see. Let's put that there. Here we go. Here's one of the more recent images. Um, you can kind of see some of the ships there. So these are two 170 to 1, or 1 to 270, I think is the correct way to say it. So we've got, not shown here is our Type S, which John actually facilitated in Deck Designer. And not shown here as well is our. I don't think I have that photo because it was AlBen's photo.
Uh,
But we have the ships, don't we? Yes.
We have the chips.
Bring me the ships, and I shall show the
Bring
ships.
forth the ships.
Bring forth the ships. Right. Let's not show them
Is
too
AlBen the
quickly.
squire now? What?
So here we have the original version of the Sleipnir that we did. I will hold it up to camera so you can see. I think this might be in focus because it is actually quite blurry as a design. It's kind of blobby.
Mhm.
So this was done with a quicker process. And the new version that John did,
That you did, Ben.
well, I guess, that John facilitated. Come on. There we go. Look at that. That is a lot more detailed. So yeah, this is a 1 to 270 scale version. So if we actually show them up next to each other. Wait, no. You can kind of see that the detailed one is here and the undetailed one is here. So yeah, it's hard to get these to focus, sorry. It always wants to look at my hair for some reason.
Just shave one day. We'll never have that problem again.
Well, maybe then it'll focus on the highly detailed
Highlights.
reflection.
Yeah.
So,
To clarify, that feature of Deck Designer is for private use only. It will not be released to the public because it takes careful modeling and still takes quite a bit of human effort to fix. Ben corrects the models that Deck Designer spits out, and it took about 4 hours for the Type S corrections.
the Type S corrections took, 5 or 6 hours in total, but that's also just because of we hadn't perfected the techniques as much either. So when we did, and I kept going back to it and going like, no, I want a better result. I want a better result. So it was also about adjusting the model. And in fact, I can show that. Or actually, I'll show this later. But if I, where are we? Miniature prototypes, and then we want our. That was the Sleipnir. The Type S. Center aft and bow. It was mainly the aft that I wanted to show. So we were getting an older version where we basically, this airlock, you couldn't see it at all. The same with the doors, so that when you actually put them on the slicer, so if I click slice now, this is going to take a little bit, but you can actually see now that there's a little bit of detail in these sections that was missing from the original version. So it was also about just creating something that was gonna look a little bit better in FDM. And I don't know if we have that ship up there.
Sorry?
No, I was just looking over at the table.
Okay.
You can relax, AlBen.
Okay.
Oh, I see you're commenting in the chat.
Yes.
I like that. You're literally right next to us and you're commenting in the chat. Let's see. Next streaming upgrade, separate camera for showing off models. Well, I mean, technically we could just use AlBen's. But yeah, I guess we could rig that. The problem is that now it's all Frankenstein together into my machine so that it just looks like it's completely covered in cables and
Man,
yeah.
You know what we should do?
What should we do, AlBen?
With the drunken sailor, we could. It would be nice if we could put the Logitech on the mic stand somehow.
Okay,
So
why?
we can use it like a camera rig.
So that we can record how much noise it
Yeah.
generates from moving the camera. I like that. I love how Lieselot's completely hidden behind me too.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
she's not.
No, Ben, if you design all these beautiful ships, but in reality, if we were a spacefaring race, you would have like a Borg cube, just wire. It'd just be a disorganized mess.
I am not an organized person. No. And if you think this looks bad, you should see my house. So, where were we at, John? You were talking about the future of Deck Designer. So, Deck Designer is a program that I have commissioned John to make in our second to last Kickstarter. And it's been an ongoing project to get that up to snuff and deliver what we were promising. But essentially, it's a tool. I guess I should just load it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't need to load it. I'll explain.
Okay, you explain it, John.
um, Coming up soon, Deck Designer is going to be getting some new features in late October in the 1.3 update. The purpose of this update is to help people bring in their own parts far easier than ever before. And that is with the upcoming Place Tool and Snap Point Assist. With the new Place Tool, you'll be able to go to File, Place, and then click any STL in your library. It doesn't have to be set up in Deck Designer, and it will bring it in and let you start moving it around. With the new 3-point assist, you can then take 3 points with guidance saying, here is a snap point, and then you can pick 3 points on another mesh, here's a snap point, and it will then auto-rotate, move, and correct the positions of those two objects so that you have it all set up correctly without having to do any inspection, checking in the current version of Deck Designer.
Very good.
Also, the Starfighters will be done in Deck Designer in 1.3.
Yes, thankfully. That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. Lieslot actually has released 4 new instructions, I believe. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that our old Starfighters now do have some instructions that go along with them. I mean, they did have, but I think it was a case of adding in the parts, or we added the parts in, right? Yes, right. Yes. And we also have updated. Oh, the Cerberus, right? Was it the Cerberus we did?
Yes.
The Cerberus now has full instructions thanks to Deck Designer. So we've taken the content from Deck Designer and added it to some documentation, which was also part of the reason we wanted to create Deck Designer in the first place. So first and foremost, it was a tool for us to be able to more easily make instructions. And but the side effect was that it would be software where you guys could plan out your builds and do custom ships basically, and then get a print list from that. So what we do need to improve over the coming months is user experience, so that it's easier to find the things that are actually in there. A lot of people are like, seem to have the feedback of, I don't know what to do with it. There are videos that if you watch them, a lot of the things should be quite apparent. But I suppose we can certainly take some feedback and improve what we can in that regard. And also, like, I think the whole process of importing in new objects like John's working on now to get in and to sort of like fine-tune that process that people can actually accomplish that. It's one of the most, sought after features of Deck Designer. And even though, there's been versions with it in there, I don't think it is inherently apparent how you accomplish that at that point. And that's kind of what John was saying about 1.3, right? Getting to that stage where you can define the snap points and that sort of thing. That's all about getting custom objects in.
Yeah, that's all for custom objects, and it's designed to make it to where you don't have to do any of those import steps. There's no custom bundle you bring in, and then refreshing the library and then going to inspector and adjusting that. And it's a very simple approach. You place the STL file down, and then you specify how you want it to snap for that part. This has a neat side effect, though, Ben, that you might be excited about.
Oh,
Look out.
You froze. Look
My
out!
bad.
Look out for what?
AlBen was trying to murder you.
Oh, that was a while back. I still don't know what he was trying to do.
He was trying to murder you. It was very clear intent.
Very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
The
any
internet's
case,
not great here, so I apologize for the delay
it's
and
fine.
this freezing sometimes. My main point is the new approach will make it to where you can just start popping in STLs just like you do on Prusa Slicer, but for planning it out.
That's awesome. And that's kind of a good segue into what I'm working on today, which is the Beta Centauri. Now, if I look at our board of things remaining to do for our last Kickstarter, the Beta Centauri is the one that keeps screaming at me because it's the largest one, and it's also the one only I can do. and we've made some good progress. So to maybe summarize what the Beta Centauri actually is, I wonder if this scene has some older versions. Maybe it does. Let's see. Or maybe I deleted them. Essentially, way back in, I think 2016, I was considering what to do with the well, not winnings, but proceeds from selling my company, and I was looking into designing a turn-based strategy game with spaceships. Oh, why didn't that? Okay. Hang on, let me just. I'm still a dude, so I'm struggling to focus on two things at once. Why is he laughing? Okay.
I don't know who you. Everyone struggles multitask.
Oh dear, this is an older version, you might say, of the ship. So this is kind of a combination of things. I don't think this is quite what I was looking for. Oh, because it's got an upper deck and a lower deck in it. But this is more like what the original looked like. I can just hide this upstairs stuff maybe, because that wasn't there.
It's short and squat.
It is kind of short and squat, yes. And we probably don't need this fourth turret. And these really should have a color, but they're green. And this should be... Oh, actually, maybe if I just go 0 that. And if I grab this one and 0 that, they should pop back into place where they're supposed to be. And yet they didn't.
Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you. Alright, I'm just going to manually move these back where they were before so you guys can see roughly what this thing looked like beforehand. So I'm just going to grab this, move it down. We're in Autodesk Maya here, by the way, guys, which is my 3D program of choice. And I think
Learn Blender.
Turret Blender's perfectly fine. I will definitely not diss something that's free and wonderful, and in many cases can do more than stuff that Maya can. So I just need to mirror these. Apparently I hadn't been centering my pivots. But you kind of get a nice little cross section of what it looked like. So it was a rather smallish
I think
ship.
it looks fine as is. Yeah. Let us see inside.
Alright. So you can see what it looks like on the outside, and you can see what it looks like on the inside to some degree. So we have a little engineering section, some engines. There are some parts, floor pieces missing and whatnot, a kitchenette and whatnot, but it was meant to be like just a little military scout ship that you sort of just send in, it does a patrol, and then, you know, it heads back again. It's more like a patrol ship than an actual vessel that's supposed to have, you know, some serious long distance in it. And this thing we have up on the shelf, it's about 70 centimeters long. And it would, in traveler terms, come to about 100 tons maybe. So quite similar to the original Scout ship, but a completely different shape that is unintentionally slightly phallic. But in any case, what we promised in our traveler campaign, which we had on My Mini Factory, was a variant of this ship which had a new upper deck and was longer and had more room to actually be a more official sort of traveler version of our ship. And also give it some love because, I mean, this design, it came out in, like I said, 2017, I think we premiered for the first time. If you actually look, here we have quite hard lines. There are some curves, but it's just not really all that this is mesh smooth right now. So if I turn the mesh smoothing off, this is the result you'll get in a slicer, right? Meanwhile, we have the Beta Centauri, and this is still quite a mess of a scene. I'm just gonna try and focus on the ship itself so we can rotate the camera more easily. So it has a few major differences. It switched out. Well, there was no upper deck on the original one. We did have a stretch goal which had one, but we have put an upper deck on. We have a cockpit in there. I've gone through and added a ton of detail that really will pop. We'll be test printing this in the next week or so. Now that the miniatures are done in FDM. So I've gone back in, and you can see here already that this mesh is a lot higher, has a lot more detail than the original had. And you can actually see that here in Prusa Slicer, where we get a much smoother result on the layers and whatnot. You can't really see the chamfering as much. So you can't really determine, oh, well, there's a vertex point, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. It looks more curved, at least certainly to the naked eye. And we've gone through and also made a lot of these parts completely supportless. Like this front piece now, previously I think you had to support the top part. It now just has a few pieces that you can swap out. And we've got all of this great detail. There are certainly parts that, there are overhangs and you might get a bit of droopage, so you might want to put in some supports.
How much of this was redesigned for no support, and how much was it that 3D printers have gotten better?
Well, design-wise, it's mostly built into this thing. So I would say, like, I had originally designed it as much as possible to be support-free already. But for example, this piece would normally be including the ladder there. Actually, I can, if I add this piece back in. So normally, I think the original version of this, it printed something like this, or actually maybe like that. And either you need supports in for this section, or supports in for the ladder and the inside and whatnot. So this is slightly different than the original design. But even this piece, it prints out flat like this. You can kind of see now that I've angled all of this up. The ladder now has a built-in support, so that you'll actually not need any supports for that piece at all. So it adds a couple more pieces, but that also makes it a little bit more manageable if you do tend to have misprints.
I like it. So it's really, you're saying a ton of this was human thought out design to fix it. It's not just adding overhangs in different spots. This is resplitting, remodeling new parts, etc.
It is, and it's also, the last day or two, I kind of got into like this, adding more detail to the whole sort of thing, because I really like, if I turn the lighting off here so you can see a little bit better, I just added these sections here, so I think I need to add a bit of smoothing for this to look good, but these panel lines, especially the very delicate ones, that's all new. So it's designed to kind of like mix and match with the existing part. So it is backwards compatible to a certain degree. Like you can certainly take the old front of the ship instead. This one is a little bit deeper. So the original cockpit ended about here, whereas we've got this sort of like, the idea with this, let's see if I can get into the hallway. So the idea here is that you would have passenger cabins. So we're in those right now. Let's see if we can go through the wall. And you would come into sort of like this communal area, which has like a seating area. And then you would have, obviously this great view out into the void. And there's just this area where you can go relax, lie down, and look at the stars as you're traveling, basically. So that's part of the major difference here, that this is like a viewing area, an observatory, I guess. And the cockpit's been moved up here, and all of this detail and paneling has not been previously included. Like these elements from the original design, and then all of this new paneling, buttons and such. We can kind of see the level. Yeah.
Some of these chairs and other things come from other ships, newer ships, don't they?
No, actually, it's the other way around. So these seats have come from those designs originally.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a little bit full circle. We're going to swap out these engines for a similar style to what AlBen's done. So I am taking my time with this. This is a perfect example of an improvement. The original version, you can see here that the landing gear, this is not a functional landing gear. It doesn't work. We have like a folded up version and we have a folded out version. So I haven't changed this and I'm not planning to. They're a bastard to work on. But this original piece printed out flat like this, and that creates a number of issues. We're still going to have some of those issues, like you'll still need supports in this sort of ladder well. And, oh, I don't think... Wait, have I copied the wrong... Oh, this is the old one. That's why I was confused. It's like, yeah, it printed out like this, I believe. Yeah. Which meant that if you're printing this out... let me just rotate this so it feels right in my... so 90 degrees. So if you're printing out like this, you have these massive, massive overhangs that you need to add supports for. And you can see that I have tried to design with these 45-degree angles to have it as print-free, as support-free as possible. But there are areas where that can't be avoided, especially with these, you know, hatches and the ladder well in particular. So if I then compare that to the new version, which is here, what we've done, or rather what I've done, is actually separated out so that this section, there's no longer a ladder well there. This completely prints out without any supports. And we've put this back section of the landing gear onto the next model. So
that makes sense.
Just by shifting it a tiny bit, we save a nightmare of, you know, horrible supports. So you can see this is where the work kind of ends at the moment. So we don't... I still need to figure this section out and how to make it nicer. I never was happy with it because this rear engine section as well, if we compare it to the old one.
Hi, Megatron.
Hi, Mika. Nice to see you back. So yeah, this was a nightmare to print. You can see that I've angled these parts. Like, again, let's rotate this into the printing angle. So I have tried to make as many 45-degree angles as possible so that you would only have to put supports here. Actually, I can do something like this. So you would need to support roughly here, there, and there, and that would, and maybe here. So that's considerably less supports than, you know, just supporting everything. I do have a version of this too where I've just built in half of the engine so that acts as its own support, but then it becomes hard to paint. So the next logical step is to actually split this in two and make a similar system to what we had in the Type S. Mostly because...
Or even an engine silo.
An engine silo?
Where that piece in the middle where those two clip points are doesn't even exist. It's just a cylinder chute going all the way through.
Yes, well, that's kind of the concept now. So we would have... I don't think that this is the original shape of the engine, so we'll probably do something similar. I might even make it compatible with the Type S light kits to save Zorama some hassle. But yeah, essentially this upper and lower section were two separate sections before. And now you'll be able to take this section off as a lid, and we'll probably have some open lock ports holding the top and bottom of the lights, kind of similar to what we have in the Type S. And you'll be able to screw off these so you can change the styles, and we'll probably even just upscale some of the ones from the Type S so that you've already got a wide variety of engines. This engine in itself is a different design than the original engines, which had a more Yamato style Japanese rocket ship style, which I'd still love, but also harder to light because it's like a ring. I'm sure there are solutions for that. And then, of course, we're adding a sort of... we have a cargo area here where you would have a little garage for one of the like Michatron's air
Will the door
rafts.
work on the new one or no?
I'm looking into it. I would like to have
Right.
this as like a proper garage door, but I'm not sure how far back I would have to go with that to make it work, and that's my main concern.
Can you do like toy trickery where it's not a true garage? It doesn't actually slide up, but it opens in the wrong way, but just for the purpose of getting access.
You mean like if it just hinged up or something?
Yeah, yeah,
That
something wrong, but good enough.
for sure. That's a possibility. It all depends how long I spend with this, um, and that's the risk. Although today I took, you can kind of see what I've done today. This is the old style or older style side of things. So I had changed. Originally, we have these retro rockets under here. I had changed them so that they had intakes. So this would be fuel intakes for when a traveler ship refuels in a gas giant or on a water world. Um, so I've taken that. So this is the simple version that we had, quote unquote simple. And then if we look on the other side, we have the more detailed version. So we've got a lot of paneling that's just going to make it pop a little, make it a lot easier to paint and to keep the paint on the edges you want to keep them on. Here we've
You
got
do
these
like the water
panels.
washes they do.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have these sort of like intakes that are just slightly more detailed that are just going to pick up that paint and then you can detail it. And because you've only got like this one section and not both sides, it's going to make it a lot easier to paint when you're actually finished. So it's not just a question of how well it assembles, it's also a question of how easy is it to handle when you've got it printed out, right?
For
Um,
those of you new to painting, if you take acrylic, like black acrylic, and you add enough water, and then you just brush it on, it will settle into those tiny, hard to see cracks and really make it pop and make them look more detailed than it really is because the shadows will be darker on a full size ship.
it's called a
So it really makes
wash.
the realism look.
Yeah, it's a wash. Um, the other major difference, if I just isolate, hang on a second, my receiving. I did this render earlier too, so you can kind of see like how it's slightly more detailed in the panelings than it was. I don't know where 100% is. There it is. So yeah, it is just in general a lot more, a lot rounder. And this is kind of like my solution. If I really had the original files and decided to dig them out, I would have probably just curved this completely so that it was like tapered like so. Um, but I still kind of like that it's like a garfish shaped thing. And I see
It
Rabbit
looks like a
Freeze
lizard to me.
we had this kind of fish that has this sort of like I don't know this bloopy bit. Oh, I'm not thinking. I'm thinking of not the goldfish, but like you have those little black ones with the goggly eyes. Kind of like
Guppy?
I don't know. I'm not a fish
I could
person.
I could see it because it has like their mouth area, then it goes out again, and it does it one more time.
Yeah. So now we're going to look into another innovation that came from the Type S, and that's having these support rod holes in them. So I the original Beta Scout ship, it does sort of like work as is, especially if we're using the modern clips that I use that are a lot tighter. So it will fit together nicely with that. It's not. It's kind of like on the border of. Um, it's not too heavy that when you lift it up it'll just fall apart. Like the Chimera is kind of like that. It really needs extra supports. And if I did the Chimera today, I would put support rods like ruts underneath, so you could support the main ship pretty much with the rods. Um, so I've integrated these along with all of these sort of like fuel tanks. So there's fuel storage visible. This is unnecessary mesh detail really, but I won't be doing it on the upper mesh because you when you take it off, you don't really see the detail underneath. You're there to look at the interior, not the the underside, right? So yeah, we've added two of those support rods. So because this is a slightly larger ship and it will be probably heavier. I'd say we're probably talking about 3.5 kilo range.
They keep getting heavier, don't they?
They do, and you know what? Some of the ones that I've been doing, the miniatures, I'm really keen to make a gazelle in the end. I really like that design.
You're gonna have to you're gonna need to make learn some industrial welding. Make a metal frame to support the gazelle. Just include that in instructions.
That would be the only way to support a ship that size, and I think too maybe one of the tricks would be to move away from trying to do landing gears and just have something that it can rest on instead. Because I feel like the landing gears are one of those areas where, yeah, it was really cool to have the Type S with a working landing gear, but you know, it was function over form with the one that we made, and it is quite wobbly even with the limited weight. I mean, the Type S is only 2.4 kilos.
I like the chicken leg.
I do too. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's like over time maybe we'll perfect that a little bit more. But at the moment we'll see what happens. We'll see what we do when we get to the Type A. We want to get the miniatures out first. And right now sorry, go on.
The Beta Centauri and the Type S are also part of this Kickstarter, but without any updates added to them, right?
So, the one thing I'm considering is adding as an add-on the Type J, which was going to be our next stretch goal anyway, at $100,000. So, it was a ways off. We had some more stretch goals to unlock. And it's basically stripping out parts of the interior. So I would consider that to be the Beta Centauri of the next campaign, right? But we did not launch our Kickstarter campaign, our Traveler campaign on Kickstarter. So we feel that we need to get it out there on Kickstarter to test and see if it was My Mini Factory as a platform that was performing. I mean, we did well in the campaign, but perhaps not as well as I was hoping with the license of Traveler, right? It's an established brand that's been around for 40 years. But I feel like the My Mini Factory platform does not get the word out there the way that Kickstarter does. So what we'll be doing is offering a version that's just the miniatures, right? And the miniatures will have stretch goals. So don't worry, we're going to take care of everyone that's already pledged in the last campaign. And that'll have I think we're looking at doing it. We can't do it in dollars on Kickstarter. We're going to do in euros because it's a little less esoteric than Swedish crowns. Even though the euro is about 10 times the amount of, or rather, 10 Swedish crowns is the equivalent of €1. So it doesn't really matter. In any case, we're probably looking at around the €25 range. So that would be about $30, I'm guessing. So that would be 7 ship miniatures in 2 different scales, and then a ton of stretch goals. We'll see how many we unlock, but I anticipate that we'll probably get a good 10 to 15 additional ships in with that. So that will be one part. And then to offer sort of like the Kickstarter version of the Type S and the Beta Centauri and whatnot as a sort of optional add-on or sort of like all-in pledge for those that didn't back it. So we're not expecting to do as well as the last campaign because this isn't a large ship and the miniatures obviously are cheaper in general. But we are looking to see what the Traveler brand can do on Kickstarter when it has that built-in audience that MMF just doesn't have. Like if I back something, every one of my backers that have backed me in the past or has followed me is going to see what I've backed. So for all of those great other creators out on Kickstarter, if they back my campaign, their followers are going to see it. And it just has this more natural built-in sort of organic growth that MMF doesn't have just yet.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is,
yes,
this Kickstarter will be the perfect opportunity for those that missed the Type S and the Beta Centauri in the My Mini Factory campaign.
Yep.
And there'll be options for add-ons in the Kickstarter, more the Type J is a possibility as a stretch goal, and a bunch of miniatures, which is a great start for 3D printing.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is with the Type J is that we might set. I haven't used unlockable add-ons for a while, but I think we might do it as an unlockable add-on, or maybe like a social goal or something like that. I've been really bad about social goals, but we could try them at least. That would be like a certain number of Instagram shares or Facebook shares or whatnot. Often you see those kind of things, so we might have a couple of bonus ships and whatnot that we fit into that, or variants of existing ships. You know, a version of the Gazelle that has its gig underneath, for example. There are a lot of things that we can do. Maybe we should. I think we've got quite a few questions or statements here. Let's see.
Where someone all the way back in Rex Triple Threat had a thought on a mod. That's the first one we missed.
Yes, no, he is trying to pimp me to do more Genesis Climber models from Robotech. So the Horizon shuttle is basically, if you check out our Discord, he's posted pictures of his conversion of the Scout ship to a Horizon shuttle style thing. I think it looks more like a garfish if we're going to get into that. So really what it needs is a huge big turret on the bottom. That would be more like it. I do like those ship designs, but they're not the most practical, as I'm sure Rax333 knows. Let's see. Craig says that all support rods are a good idea. Oh, hi all, sorry. Hi, Craig. Craig is a wonderful designer in his own right that's converted a number of Ian's designs to 3D printable, including a fantastic gig. We hope to be able to make that more officially available so that it gets more widespread use. I've talked to Craig about that a little bit, about the possibility of having it as like an add-on that people can put on if they want to support his work. And
Come
also,
on, Greg. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure. Let's see. We use these in the droid building community to support legs, handy for cable runs as well. Very good. Might have to look a bit more into how those solutions are being done, but yeah, we're using model aircraft rods at the moment. Given how much work this is turning out to be, would you consider doing this update process for one of your other ships? I think I would like to update some of my older ships. The most logical ones would be the original three. So the shuttle has had an update with its interior. I could still do a little bit more, adding some additional detail and whatnot, but and especially some of the stretch goals which haven't been updated to that standard. The one I would probably really like to rework is the Delta, but it is also the most dubious of the designs. Not really. It's definitely like a Star Wars design language ship, and designed to look like it's kind of like a hybrid between Second Dynasty designs. If you look at the shuttle, it has the same sort of shield generator on the top.
Star Wars? Do you mean Far, Far Away?
Something like that. Apparently, they couldn't copyright Star Wars itself because it's just two
Oh,
words.
really?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
In any case, if it fits into a galaxy far, far away, it was the whole point of it. So it kind of feels like a lot of time to invest into something that's less. Well, I'm trying to get away from, Did everyone see Darth AlBen? Come back into shot, AlBen. Yeah, you look like someone from the Borderlands about to cap me in the back.
Nah, I couldn't do that.
No, because I pay your wages.
Yes.
In any case, he promised he would not be noisy during the stream. So yeah, the Delta is very undetailed on the interior, and I've definitely that's a ship that I would like to add some support rods to as well, and could actually take them. So I definitely would be interested in doing it. It's just a question of when it would fit in. Let's see. Scooping gas base for the Type S. Oh, so many comments. Have you been planting seeds on various traveler gaming forums that this new Kickstarter is coming? I'm pretty bad at that, but I am a member of a Facebook group. Unfortunately, I have to post as myself, so I'm not sure how many people have actually linked that I am Second Dynasty or representing Second Dynasty. But I have posted there. But I'm really bad at forums and that sort of thing. So if you guys do know about that, the link, I've already posted it. I'll post it again. So you guys can already go in and just save the date for that campaign. And please do spread it. I'd be interested in the Beta Centauri, provided it was backwards compatible. It is backwards compatible. But obviously, like, it is almost a whole new ship. So it certainly is. You can certainly put, like, the front from the regular Beta on instead, if you wanted to. But it's not hugely compatible with the original Beta because it just uses basically all of the stretch goals at once. Let's see. Size-wise, it's definitely a monster. It's about 50% longer, maybe. Let's see. The mods for the thruster actually was a dream. But I could... Garfish comments again. Alright, have you ever thought of expanding RPG use-wise to make your own setting? That would kind of be the computer game that I was trying to make. John, you're muted.
Do you still have the demo?
Oh, there you go. Do I still have the demo? I do, but I don't think I ever published it. So it was all... I've talked about it before, but it was like all came back from my original... The very first computer game I got, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, where you could take over enemy rocket ships, but you couldn't keep them. So this game was all about that you're a space privateer. Imagine a future where you got some pseudo Macross Yamato sort of scenario where the space empires, you've got, you know, the human sort of empire, but they're kind of overstretched to the point where they're basically employing privateers to deal with piracy and even, you know, fight their wars by proxies. So basically you start in a ship just about the size of the Scout Ship, and you take different missions, and you can try and disable the enemy ship, try and board it, and depending on the condition of the cargo you recover, basically just like the original Letters of Marque, 50% of the profits will go to the crown, 50% goes to you. So basically over time you can build your own fleet and ships, improving them with better weapons that you salvage and so on. So
coming out in 2045.
I would like to do it, and it is actually a simpler game than it sounds, at least on paper. But it has a ways to go, I think. And I mean, they're usually much larger ships than the ones that I put out, which is part of the issue. Like, if these miniatures prove to be popular, fair enough. But we also kind of know what range ship miniatures are expected to be in. There are some great makers of 3D printable starships, like EC3D Designs. Basically, I think they've got a Kickstarter out right now that's doing the same thing. So that's a good sort of like, you know, oh wait, I made John small.
That's fine. 5 minutes.
5 minutes. John wants to get out of here. So yeah, today it's been a real ramble. Need to see John. Say something. No, he's just smiling and is frozen. I was saying, say something, John. Say something. Stop.
Oh, I froze.
Say something we don't know.
Oh, I'm John.
All right, there you go, everyone. Breaking new news. So yeah, progression-wise, let's see if I can highlight the parts that are printable. Technically, this I've just done a few more details, but it is printable. This should be printable today, in like by the end of the day. This is printable, which is some of the most detailed pieces. So, and some of these are from the original ship as well. So we're slowly getting through them. Actually, that part I think is also printable, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So you can kind of see here that they've all got open lock ports, and you're not seeing any gaps, which is representing what it is. We do have some interior parts as well. So let's see. So the Blasted Samouflage says, in relation to the game I was describing, that sounds like something that could be done as a tabletop game. I actually thought of doing a similar game, but with my own tabletop system. It was actually that you were space pirates. So I've been looking to use your ships for playtesting. Ah, cool. I'd be interested to see how that works. So yeah, it was... The point of doing it too was to make it turn-based, because there's not enough turn-based computer games out there, I feel. Could we get an armored forward option instead of windows? No. The answer is this is not to make a new ship. This is to deliver on the existing Kickstarter, and basically this is what we've planned and promised to deliver, so that's what we're focusing on. We're not making additional variants to existing ships. Although, if that is something that is of interest to you guys as a Kickstarter or something like that, by all means, let us know. Like, if you want us to revisit the ships to additional designs and modernize them, essentially. The reason it's maybe not the most sensible idea is because I would feel obliged to essentially provide the updates of at least the base ships or what we've already bought sort of like free of charge. I don't think it's right to charge a second time for a product you've already made. There's arguments for and against that, but psychologically that's pretty much where I would sit. Alright, so at the moment no plans to cover this up for this particular design for that reason. So yeah, it is a revisit to the beta, but it's like one particular model as opposed to just making a whole bunch of new variants. So yeah, I have kept the clip locations in the same places wherever possible. It may be that I've added one in here or there, or sacrificed one for the sake of another. It's mostly just to get a tighter fit in places. So there should be some original clips. It just might be a case of, you want to have those really tight clips in place because you might be down to just 4 clips instead of 6 or something like that. Anyway, let's start to wrap this up. It's 3:59. I know, John, you've got some more work you want to get done today, and so do I. Hopefully this new time is still fairly convenient for people. The energy hopefully is better. I'd love to see new designs, honestly, rather than redone ships. That's fair enough, and there's a strong argument for backing that as well. So, and AlBen is very quietly turning on the SLA printer, which is also kind of making me feel like it's like.
Why is Lisa just standing in the doorway?
I wonder that too. I have no idea. She's probably scared of the printer. It is beeping a lot. And on that note, John, thanks for joining us. And we will be back next Thursday with another show. So, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.